السلام عليكم.
وعليكم
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أهلا وسهلا. We're hoping to get more, inshallah, and we'll start the continuation of Aqeedah. We're here discussing Aqeedah Ash'ariyah, which is very close to Aqeedah Maturidiyah, and nearly 90% of the Muslims, 95% either Ash'ari or Maturidi. Along the way, we sometimes mention the difference between Aqeedah Ash'ariyah and the Aqeedah Wasitiyah. Usually the Hanbali, not the Hanbali, the Wahhabi take Aqeedah Wasitiyah. Hanbali is actually the Ash'ari, take the Aqeedah Ash'ariyah. So for some reason, the Wahhabi took Aqeedah Wasitiyah to Ibn Taymiyyah. Now, we also touch Aqeedah Ja'fariyah, the Shia. So, we reached 46. Yesterday, Ahmed is not here because Ahmed was asking a question yesterday. We'll leave it. If he comes in, then we will discuss his question. Number 46. ونقول إن الله عز وجل يخرج قوما من النار بعد أن امتحشوا بشفاعة رسول الله. So Allah عز وجل will take people out of hellfire when after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam intercede and ask Allah to forgive them and take them out of hellfire. And there's a lot of hadith to confirm that. So that's one of our Aqeedah. We believe in the punishment in the grave. Now, punishment in the grave there's a lot of hadith on it, and there's a lot of ayahs. And Allah Azza wa Jalla said about the people of Pharaoh, النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا ويوم القيامة أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. So, النار, they will be exposed to the fire in the grave. Now we have obviously, I want to ask you the question actually. I'm getting the Quran. النار يعرضون.
What happens if you're not in the grave?
Yeah, this is my question. So let me share the screen with you first and stop sharing. Share again. That's the screen. Share the Quran. You can see the Quran now, yeah?
Yes. Now we can
see it. Allah talk about the Pharaoh. النار يعرضون عليها. The fire, they will be in front of the fire, will they be brought morning and evening. And on the day of judgment will be established, cast you, the people of Pharaoh, into the severest of penalty. I don't know, the English is not actually giving precise meaning. So النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا, morning and evening. And the second part, the punishment will be the day of judgment. And وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَيَوْمَ تَقُومُ السَّاعَةِ, when the hour takes place, Allah Azza wa Jalla will order the angels to enter the family of Pharaoh, the Isle of Pharaoh, all of them, the severest of punishment. So the question which you were trying to ask, Amjad, we know all the army was drowned and eaten by fish. So probably they don't have a grave. Only the Pharaoh, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, اليوم ننجيك ببدنك. The sea threw Ramses II out of the sea, and the Egyptian took him, mummified him. And when the French came, took the mummy of Francis II, and they carbon dated it, and they found that yes, he existed the same time of Musa alayhi salatu salam. So they said the Bible is wrong because the Bible said Ramses II drowned. So do you know what happened then? What who saved the Bible?
No, I've forgotten. I thought I knew, but I can't recall.
Yeah, well, the person who was doing the post-mortem, Maurice Bukai, he went and looked into the Bible with the Quran, what the Quran said about Ramses II, and he came across the ayah that Allah Azza wa Jalla said, اليوم ننجيك ببدنك, today we will save your body, so you will be lessons to people to come later. And he found in the lung of the Pharaoh sea salt and seaweed. So he drowned, but he was thrown out of the sea, and the Egyptian mummified him. And he became so shaken by this that he became Muslim, Maurice Bukhari. And he said the day when the Quran saved the Bible. So the Quran came and saved the Bible, that yes, he drowned, but his body was saved, thrown outside. But what about the Egyptians who were eaten by the fish and things and disintegrated in the sea and eaten by all sorts of, how would they be punished in the grave? There's no grave.
My understanding would be that the grave actually, but grave, Allah means barzakh.
Yeah. There will be in Alam al-Barzakh, the souls. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَبَيْنَهُمَا بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Your soul will be in the Barzakh dimension, obviously different dimension than the physical existence, and they will be punished in Alam al-Barzakh. And that's a place in the Barzakh will be either a garden from paradise or a hole from hell. So al-qabru imma rawdatun min riyadil jannah aw hufratun min hufar an-nar. And obviously the Prophet ﷺ did say that there were people who, like one Sahabi who made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal to bring him back from the belly of wild animals and the belly of birds. So they buried him 3 times, and the earth threw him outside the grave. And then they left him. I think it was Tabi, it wasn't Sahabi. And when they came back, they were puzzled why he was thrown outside the grave. They didn't know, because they didn't bury him anymore. They came back, and the mom was asking. And then she asked them a strange question. She said, has the earth swallowed his body? And they said, amazing, we were going to ask you just, in a minute, because every time we bury him, the earth throw him outside. She said, because his dua was asking Allah Azza wa Jal to bring him from the belly of wild animals and the throat of birds. Hawas al-tayr. Tayr keep the food in the part of the hanjura where they crush it, like that's like a mill. They crush it, it's well known. So they said, oh, that's it. That's why he was not swallowed. So obviously, as Brother Mudassir said, it's Alam al-Barzakh. Barzakh is a punishment in Alam al-Barzakh, and that's what's the understanding in Islam. That
So, like, can I just ask that the Barzakh is where your soul goes, your soul?
yes, that's where your soul is kept. Alam al-Barzakh. It's taken
So
from
it
the
is-
Quran. وَبَيْنَهُمَا بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. When your soul leave your body become dust, ash, elements eaten. Because that's why they say the martyr's body do not get eaten by the earth, by the worms and insects and whatever and germs. But Allah preserves the body of the prophets and martyrs. But also certain martyrs, because when they moved Al-Hamza, found his body still intact as it was. And Another Sahabi was still bleeding, you know, and they saw him bled, you know, blood came. But here, obviously, the punishment this is why when people don't know about al-barzakh, they deny the punishment in the grave, because the atheist will come and say to them, who will be punished? Because he's turned into dust now. He's eaten by wild animals, or drowned in the sea, eaten by fish, or burnt to ashes in a fire. There's nobody to punish. And some have difficulty with the hadith when he's set up and questioned by Ankar and Nakir. And some of them even contradict the Quran and say that Allah will put his soul back in his body, which is not the case at all, because Allah Azza wa Jal said, no, you cannot return to your body until the day of judgment. And بَيْنَهُمَا بَرْزَخٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. There will be a barrier between them and their bodies till the day of judgment. But we have to believe in Azab al-Qabr as Muslims. It's a true. It's part of our belief, because it's confirmed in the Quran and in the Hadith. When the Prophet ﷺ passed a graveyard and he found two dead, he asked them to bring a branch of green leaves, green branch, and he split it into two. He put one on one grave and one on the other, and he said, may Allah reduce the punishment while these are green. So they will be receiving less punishment while the green is green. And نؤمن بعذاب القبر ونؤمن بالحوض. What is al-hawd?
Is it the fountain? The fountain of Rasulullah?
Yeah, it's more than fountain. It's hawd. Hawd means like a big swimming pool or something.
Oh, like a lake.
Hawd ma, like a big, yeah, it's like big pond. They usually, the Arab used to put the pond inside the courtyard with a fountain in the middle. And usually they drink from but we drink from the hawd in paradise. And it will be a drink, you will drink, you will never be thirsty after that. So that's hawd, so we believe. And al-mizan haqq. Al-mizan, the scale is true. So this serious sets of beliefs we have, and all obviously have the يوم نضع الموازين القسط ليوم القيامة. Allah Azza wa Jalla will put the scales the day of judgment. So that's haqq. والصراط حق. What is sirat?
That's the bridge, or that has to be crossed by everybody to get to the other side. And below it.
Over what?
Sorry?
A bridge over what?
Over a bridge over the hellfire.
Where in the Quran?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's anybody knows? It's when Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Isra, وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا كَانَ عَلَى رَبِّكَ حَتْمًا مَقْضِيًّا ثُمَّ نُنَجِّي الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَنَذَرُ الظَّالِمِينَ فِيهَا جِثِيًّا. So all of us will come by or over or to hellfire, and you cross it. In the Hadith, there's more explanation. That some will go like a speed of light, some of them go walking, some like on a horse, some will be crawling over the sirat. And the sirat is as thin as a hair and as sharp as sharper than a sword. أحد من السيف وأدق من الشعر من الشعرة. So it's very thin, very sharp. And sirat haq, we pass over. So the ayah وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا فَلَمَّا وَرَدَ مَاءَ مَدْيَنَ, when Musa came to the water of Midian, doesn't mean that he fell in the water. But he came, he approached the water of Midian. He found two women trying to give water to their sheep. So وَرَدَ وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا, we all of us will go by hellfire, cross over hellfire on the Sirat. So that's one of the belief in Islam. وَالْبَعْثُ بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ حَقٌّ, resurrection after death is true. وأن الله يوقف عباده في الموقف محشر. وأن الله عز وجل will bring all his servants into the assembly al-mahshar. Mahshar means the assembly area where all the human will be gathered together. ويحاسب المؤمنين, he will bring mu'mineen to account. Now, where in the Quran? Obviously, he took from the Quran and the Hadiths. All these are from the Quran. That فسوف يحاسب فأما من أوتي كتابه بيمينه فسوف يحاسب حسابا يسيرا وينقلب إلى أهله مسرورا. And there is exemption from hisab. The Prophet ﷺ said there will be 70,000 who will go to Jannah without hisab, without any question asked. And then he was asked for more, and Allah said there will be with each one of them 1,000 who will go without hisab. So you have 70,000, each one of them will have 1,000 with him without hisab. So you'll have around what, millions? 70 millions going without hisab, which is like then the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man husiba udhib, man husiba udhib." Whoever negotiated his deeds will be punished. So the majority of the mu'min, the believers, will be like, yeah, you've done so and so, we know about it, off you go. We know about it, off you go. There will be no negotiation. Why you did this, and he has to prove the evidence, and Allah shows him his deeds and will show him like a video, screen of how he did it, how he made the sin. So the Prophet ﷺ, whoever stopped and negotiated his deeds will be punished. And these from the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, who will be punished and go to hellfire, the Prophet ﷺ will intercede for them. Obviously, there's many who will intercede. You intercede if you are a martyr, if you are Siddiq, if you are a pious person, you could ask Allah to save some of your family. And then the Prophet ﷺ will intercede and take a lot out of hellfire. And Allah will be the last to take out of hellfire his own choice. So it will be hisab for the mu'mineen, but there's different levels. Some will be exempted, and some will have light hisab, and some will have more harder hisab. وأن الإيمان قول وعمل. The belief is a say and confirmed by deeds, because taken from the Hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, الإيمان ما وقر في القلب وصدقه العمل. Whatever deep-seated in the heart and confirmed by the deeds. And Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the Quran, قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم وأن تطيعوا الله ورسوله. So when Iman enter your heart and you obey Allah and His Messenger, so your deeds confirm the Iman in your heart. So this is what he's saying here. Obviously, the Aqeedah is very concentrated text to bring together all our belief without too much details. But obviously, everything he says here is confirmed by ayahs from the Quran and Hadith. وَأَنَّ الْإِيمَانَ يَزِيدُ وَيَنْقُصُ. Iman goes up and down. How is that? Does your Iman increase and decrease?
Well, if you are in a gathering which is remembering of Allah and or doing other ibadah, then your Iman goes up, because I think there's a hadith where Prophet ﷺ said that the only creation which Iman doesn't change is the angels, and I think all the prophets, their Iman always go up, and the normal people, their Iman goes up and down depending on what environment they are in.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of ayahs. والذين اهتدوا زادهم هدى وآتاهم تقواهم. So you try to get closer to Allah and get to know more of Allah, be with Allah with the zikrullah. Allah will increase your belief and will give you more protection and more being mindful of Allah, so you become even more aware of Allah. There's a hadith إن لهذا الدين إقبال وإدبار فإقبال هذا الدين أن تؤمن القرية بأكملها إلا اثنين أو ثلاثة، يعني اثنين أو ثلاث، أو إدبار هذا الدين أن تعرض القرية بأكملها إلا ولا يبقى إلا اثنين أو ثلاث. That the religion not only on a personal level increase and decrease, it increase and decrease on the city level or the town level. That he said that the iman of the town becomes so strong that the majority are believers practicing except the one or two, and there is idbar, retraction to the religion, that the majority of the city will be away from the religion except one or two. And probably we are in this idbar. There's very few people now coming to religion and practice and commit and things. So there were time when you will see that the majority of, so on the personal level, your iman increase and decrease. And this is why there is continuous salah and the continuous, the Friday to Friday and then Ramadan to Ramadan to boost the iman of people and bring them closer to Allah. So it is yazid wa yanqas. Doesn't take him out of Islam. His commitments and devotion might be reduced, and that's what makes some less knowledgeable people or mullah or Muslims start brushing people off. Oh, he's not Muslim anymore. No, people, increase and decrease. If he make a mistake or a sin, doesn't mean that he's out of Islam. Like we said, we read last week that muznibin, if somebody commit adultery or steal or take riba, doesn't go out of Islam. It will not make him not Muslim anymore, unless he make it halal. Unless he say yes, stealing is halal or committing adultery is halal or drinking alcohol halal, then he could take himself out of Islam. But the fact that he committed a sin doesn't take him out of Islam. And the iman increase and decrease. So when his iman is weak, you boost his iman. You encourage him to practice more and solve problems, and if he has difficulty, whatever. So this is what he's, but doesn't go out of Islam. ونسلم الروايات الصحيحة عن رسول الله ونسلم أو الروايات الصحيحة عن رسول الله. We accept all the hadith sahih from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All the hadith sahih, we take it. Well, like when Imam Shafi'i came to visit the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, one of his saying that إذا صح الحديث فهو مذهبي. If the hadith is sahih, it's become my madhab. And كلنا يؤخذ منه ويرد عليه إلا صاحب هذا القبر. All of us, you take from each other or reject, except the owner of this grave, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't reject anything he says. Now, why there is hadith sahih, some mazhab take it, and hadith sahih, some other mazhab take it? Why they don't all put the hadith in one like pots and all take it? So this is why differences in mazahib. Why is that?
I mean, one of the things which I know is like, I think Hanafi don't take ahadith, which are sahih, but they are narrated with just one sahabi, so they won't take those hadiths. And I believe Malikis, they take more, they give more importance to the traditions of Medina than anything else. And Shafi, they will take hadith, but only if it's not like contradicting any other hadith or Quran, and they will judge the hadith on that. And I think the Hanbali, they are the strongest in that, so they will take every hadith. If it is in a hadith, they will just say that we should follow that.
Yeah, you're bordering in Surah al-Fiqh. This is why the scholars put rules to how you drive out of the Quran and Sunnah, the ruling. So if it comes to fara'id, the fara'id is majority accepted on equal level by all Sahaba, like 5 daily prayers and the farud of the wudu and the farud of ghusl and the farud of the hajj and umrah and fasting and inheritance. But when it comes to the wajib and the sunnah, then they go into which one is binding, which one is not. Like what you said, Imam Hanbali, he take every hadith as binding, literally binding. But he doesn't look into other hadiths which could lower the intensity of the hadith. Now he take that praying in the mosque is must by every Muslim, but he doesn't. He take the hadith the Prophet ﷺ said that I wish I asked somebody to pray Imam on my behalf and I go to people who are praying in their houses and I burn it down on top of them. So Hanbali said, all of us must go to the mosque by force. Now, the rest of the mazhab, they said, but the Prophet ﷺ did not go and burn the houses on top of them. If it was must, followed, he would have done it, but he didn't. So, like what we said, Maliki said, if anyone adhered to the Sunnah as it was, it would be the people who lived with the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. So he take the Medina practices as the base of all the practices and negates anything else from outside. But the other 3 mazahib said to him, like, but the Sahaba spread all over the places. They went to spreading Islam and they're living in Iraq and Sham and Turkey and Egypt and North Africa. So we have to count for their own practices as well. Imam Abu Hanifa, he had, as he said, taken only the Quran as 100% binding and the hadith mutawatir. And he take hadith mashhur where it was singly narrated, but there's too many from Tabi'een repeated the same hadith, and Tabi'een became very famous hadith. Shafi'i seemed to be in the middle of all these. So Shafi'i will take care of the interpretation of the hadith, the time it was mentioned, the qara'in, which limits the application of the hadith. And Shafi'i is one of those who traveled a lot. And this is why nearly 60-70% of people across the globe are Shafi'i. We take Indonesia, Malaysia, or Egypt, and most Syria and the Middle East, and Hanbali, majority of them only in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, and Hanafi are in part of Turkey and Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan. So the majority seems to be Shafi'i. Shafi'i traveled. He was born in Gaza, lived in Mecca, lived in Medina. Imam Malik was his teacher. And then he went to Iraq. He didn't meet Abu Hanifa, but he met Ibn Hanbal. Ibn Hanbal mainly in Iraq. And then he went to Egypt. And he changed his mazhab when he went to Egypt, because he found that there's more different things in Egypt, different practices, different adat and taqalid and things. And this is why he was the majority to follow mazhab Shafi'i, subhanAllah. But here, every hadith sahih we take from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when it comes to applying the hadith, we look into another hadith. Is there another hadith stronger than this hadith? is practice well according to this hadith or that. Now we have 10 minutes left. Try to finish 47. الثقات عن عدل حتى تنتهي إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So providing it is justly narrated from just people until the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. So that's the hadith sahih. عدول عن عدول عن عدول. That has to be in all the levels. If any weakness in any of the chain, the hadith become ضعيف. So they don't take it. If a hadith become hasan, will be weakness in one chain, in one level, weakness in one chain, in another level. They say these support each other. Two hadith da'ifs become hadith hasan. But it's difficult to become hadith sahih. Some make hadith sahih because of other ahadith or some narration in the Quran or something. So, but we as ordinary Muslims, we take all the hadith sahih. We don't reject hadith sahih. Subhanallah, when we had a guy in Syria, he's from Albania. He came to live in Syria. He was a watchmaker and repairer. And he studied individually. He didn't go to any schools. He studied Islam, and he, in a way, appointed himself as a guide to tell what is the hadith da'if, what the hadith sahih, what's hadith hasan, what hadith sahih. And for some reason adopted by Wahhabi so strongly. His name is Albani, Burhanuddin Albani. He lived in Syria. I was in Syria. He was alive. I never met him, but he was in Syria, still alive when I was in Syria. Sheikh Nasruddin Albani, his name. Sorry, Nasruddin Albani. But he made some da'if hadith sahih, and he made some hadith sahih da'if, because the ruling, he didn't master usul al-hadith. And you have usul al-fiqh and you have usul al-hadith, how you decide which hadith is sahih or. And he managed to get a lot of problems to the Muslims, subhanAllah, through the Wahhabi and those who claim to be Salafi. He was loved by the Muslim Brotherhood as well. So, but they came to some hadith sahih and he made it da'if. And for some reason, people became like enemy to you if you apply hadith da'if. So that's 47. Do you have any questions on 47 before we go, or any comment? 47. So we believe in 47 in punishment in the grave. We believe in the hawd when we meet the Prophet ﷺ and drink from the hawd. We believe in the scale, in the mizan, the day of judgment. And Allah will put mawazin al-qist yawm al-qiyamah, the scales, which is more, and there's a lot of hadith when your deeds will be put on one side of the scale, and La ilaha illallah will put on one, or your deeds will be put on one, and your eye will be put on another. And so many hadiths comparing the gifts from Allah Azza wa Jalla, what you did. And we believe in the sirat, the path over the hellfire, the bridge, we said. And we believe in the resurrection of the death. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will stand all his servants in the mahshar. And the hadith say they will stand for 50,000 years. It's quite a long time. And they wish they go either to hell or paradise, wherever, just finish from the standing for that long time. And the believers will be questioned. And we know some hadiths, some believers will be no question at all, will go straight to paradise. And some will be questioned lightly. Some will be questioned more severely and punished. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is questioned in the mahshar will be punished. Because, and that iman, I believe, goes up and down. And we accept all the hadith sahih from the Prophet ﷺ. Obviously, when it comes to giving rules, like when you are establishing rules on marriage, divorce, separation, contracts, finance contract and things, the mazahib start having variations in what has to be done this way or that way, and they are based on how they drove the ruling out of the Quran or out of the Hadith. Like Imam Abu Hanifa said that you can read anything from the Quran because it's in the Quran. فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنْهُ. Read whatever you can from the Quran. So it doesn't insist on reading Fatiha. And because he said that, for centuries, Shafi'i will not pray behind Hanafi because they say he doesn't read Fatiha. But who said that he doesn't read Fatiha? Have you asked them? And there were people who were like, so strict that, will not pray behind, until more and more scholars came and science became within reach to many people, and there's so many books, and people started accepting that, you pray behind anyone. But we were in Damascus itself, in Umayyad Mosque, there were 4 jama'ah for every salah. Every mazhab prays separately. The little one were Hanbali, because very few Hanbali in Damascus. But there were, up to like 100 years ago, there were 4 jama'ah. Shafi'i pray separate, and Hanafi pray separate, Maliki pray separate, and Hanbali pray separate. Alhamdulillah, that has gone now. So we are like, we had the dark ages in religion of Islam. It's more awakening now in Islam and understanding. Alhamdulillah. Any more comments? Probably will not. We'll go to the next one. The next
Miss, I
one.
probably would say one thing. There's similar was happening, I believe, in Makkah as well, and that's one of the reasons why what we now call them Wahhabi, but that's probably one of the reasons why they came up, and they said, what is this? And they were fighting, and there were like proper hand-to-hand fighting been happening in Makkah and Haram and Medina with all these 4 madhahib, and they were having lots of fights. So they said, no, we just have to come to one conclusion. So we are not believing, we are not really going to go on to this. So that's my understanding. So that's how this all started. So it was, the intentions were right, that these madhahib and masalik, they have gone to too much extreme now. So nobody is following each other, and there's a lot of fighting amongst each other. So that's probably how it all started. But then they become another faction themselves in the end. But I think that was how the people actually kind of supported them initially, because that was their thought behind it.
Tell you an incident happened with us. We were in Marrakesh. We stopped in Casablanca. It was Fajr. I prayed with the men, and my wife was praying with the women, and she prayed Imam, and she follows Madhab Shafi'i, and she made Dua al-Qunut after the second ruku'. And the ladies behind her had no idea more than what they heard of Mazhab Maliki. And they left the prayer, and you are Shia, and you are this, and you are that. I finished the prayer, and she said, this is Mazhab Shafi'i, you never heard of it. They had no idea what other Mazahib are. So when we first went to Morocco and we prayed in the mosque, they say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and they stand up, they go. There's no second Assalamu alaikum. To us, it appeared straight away strange. But because we know about it, when I was in Bangar, somebody came from upstairs, he was so upset and said, why? He said that this guy upstairs, he prayed the witr without making the first tashahhud. He did 1 tashahhud. He made the 3 rak'ah with only 1 tashahhud, and he refused to do second tashahhud. So I said, look, he comes from Mazhab Shafi'i. They do 3 rak'ah in 1 row with 1 tashahhud only. You come from Mazhab Hanafi when they pray it like Maghrib. You do, and it's just lack of education. And now because there's a lot of lessons on the TVs and papers, newspapers, books spread, and internet now, and YouTube, and there's so much information. Alhamdulillah, becoming like more acceptable to each other. I hope this Corona unite the Muslims even more. Now with Saudi having far much less money to spend on the Wahhabi missions, I think probably there will be more unification between Muslims, because for some reason they come and split the Muslims. You're going to paradise, he's going to hell, and so on and so forth. In Birmingham is one of the places they never